Okay, I'm on a roll, so I'm going to finish up this video, or finish up the series, kind of to the next spot. I think there'll be one more video after this of how to make UVs, possibly, but we're getting close. Like I said, we happen to use the UVs that you saw that we created using the Marvelous Designer UVs. So if you're happy with those, then you don't have to make any other UVs. But if you're not happy with those UVs and you want to learn how to make UVs, there's a number of different methods you can use. And so, okay, but we're not going to do that in this video. We're just going to do the creating the inward faces of this. So what you want to do is you want to duplicate your mesh shirt or your mesh clothing. And since it was rigged, this is locked and we can't move it. You can see it's grayed down, it's grayed out, they call it. We can't move it, but we need to move it. So we need to come over here, select and click on the names, not in here. And then go down to the bottom, hold the shift key, left mouse click, then hold right mouse click. And you don't have to hold down the shift key when you right mouse click, and unlock selected. Okay. And, whoops. Okay. And I could pick it out of the, if nothing is selected, and see that's not the one we want, if you shift drag, it's going to deselect the first one, but it's going to select the body, and then if you shift click the body again, you get the duplicate. Or you could just open up the outliner and click on the duplicate. And we're just going to move it out of the way. And I usually move it, you're going to want to move it a set amount, so like 100. Because you got to remember that, because it's going to zero out on us here in a minute. Okay. So, let's see. What I would do is, like I say, if you look at the original and you look at the sleeves, don't really need to go in that far in on the sleeves, or the openings to the arms. So I would do this. You go into edge, and see that one was a spiral. Okay. So I'm going to have to do it a slightly different way. I would go into face mode. Select the faces you want to duplicate. Now I'm holding down, hit Q on the keyboard so you don't have the move tool, so you can hold down the control key and just sort of drag to deselect the ones you don't want. Or I could have used the paint select tool. And I'm just clicking on the ones I don't want. Or if I was using the select brush, come on, go into face mode. There we go. And I'm just holding down the control key. And unselecting the ones I don't want. Okay. So now that we have the ones that we want to duplicate to go inward, let me close this. You come back. You got to put this back to polygons, and yours would probably be modeling if you're using a newer one. And you go to, I believe it's mesh tools. No, it's edit mesh, faces, duplicate. And I believe I'm just using the default. Yeah, those are just the default settings. It's going to separate the faces, and you go duplicate. Okay, and then after you've duplicated it, what I do, if I go into object mode and I go to this one, poly chip off, and then you scroll down and you go to local translate Z and put in -0.25. Okay, and what that does is it gives you it moves them in by 2. by 0.25, which is a nice thickness. It's not too thick, it's not too thin. And then what you need to do is separate. So you select the, oh no, they already separated. Okay. Now you notice when it separated it, that's why, see this, now this says 0. So to put it back to exactly where you want it, it's going to be negative, it's going to be negative 100 to put it back. Okay. So let's put on backface culling. Backface culling. Okay. And we need to reverse the normals on that. So you just go normals, reverse. See, now that will be the inside. And then you can select both. So you can select the inside and then shift select the outside, or the outside and the inside, doesn't matter. Go mesh combine. Okay. Now it's combined into one mesh. Then you go into edge mode, double click one edge, double click the second edge, and then go to bridge. Okay, it's going to go into the bridge, and most likely it's going to freak out like that. But don't worry, just come here to bridge offset, hold down your middle mouse button and drag it left or right until it fixes itself. Okay. And I had it set so that there's one division. No divisions look like that, but one divisions is what you want. So you go one division, and you put that to 32. You know, sometimes it's 32, sometimes it's 29, sometimes it's 25. It varies, but you'll see it snap into the right position. Okay, and then after you do that, the reason we want the one division here is I like to go to the edge, select that edge, and we are going to do one of the most greatest tools there is in Maya. Believe me. See, right now it's perfectly flat, so there's like, what's the point of this? You could try to pull it out manually, but it's a pain in the butt. And so, but we're going to do, I gotta remember the name of the greatest tool. Okay. It is Edit Edge Flow. Underneath your Edit Mesh, Edit Edge Flow. Open up the options. I think by default it's 1, but yeah, see, it's 1. Change it to 0.8. Okay, that works the best. And what it's going to do is watch here when you click apply. Oh, I gotta have to have an edge selected first. There you go. Boom. It gives you a nice rounded edge. Okay, it gives you a nice rounded edge. So if we go into, come on, object mode. Okay. So that when we go into here, now, of course, all these are hard edges now. If we go normals, soften edge. And what I like to do is harden. You can harden one of the edges. You can play around to see which one you prefer. But I like to harden an edge, the outer edge. And it gives a nice look to it. Okay. Now some people, you can do this if you want. Some people will select an edge after they do that, and then they will extrude. I usually just hit R on the keyboard to go into the scale mode. Like I said, I've been around for a long time. It's just an old way of doing it. And then if you move that like that, these so that they're, what you're doing is you're bringing all those vertices completely in the middle. And then you could go vertex and hit Q on the keyboard to get that select them all. See, there's 36, and then you got to make sure you do merge. And now there's only one. And now if you wanted to, you could move it in a little bit. Okay, so that is a possibility if you wanted to do that. I would soften these edges that are all in here. So that if somebody is trying to look down the sleeve, they won't see anything. So that's, there's a good number of people who do that. But I myself find it, don't really have to do it that often. What you could do is you could bring this in just a little bit like that, so that there's no way they're going to see inward. You can bring it in a little bit so it cuts into the skin. You can do that. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Edge. Yeah, I could have done that. I could have done that on this one. Double clicked it and then went select, convert selection to faces. And then go into face mode, add a little bit more. But if you're thinking somebody's going to look down the top, yeah, this is where you kind of, you put on wireframe unshaded, where you can kind of go, okay, if somebody was looking down in their camera, how much do I need of the top? Not much, just the first layer here, at least from the top. Now from the bottom, maybe up to here. So I'd probably do this little area. Oops. Okay, so I'd probably pick I think that would be good. Let's see if they really, maybe, so it's you can see a lot of it's going to be this will give us a better idea. You don't, the reason I'm going through this much trouble is you really don't want to have to, you don't want to duplicate faces you don't need to, because that's just going to cause lag, you know. Okay, so it goes down to, it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide. And just after there it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 wide and 5 down from there. So Control Z. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5 across. 1, 2, or was it 5 across? Yeah, 5 across. Okay, which means, let's see, this one. Come on. There we go. Which means we don't need this. Whoops. And we probably, yeah, that's probably fine. We're not going to need these. And let's just even it out just a little bit. Okay, so that's going to be the maximum you're going to need on the inside. Yeah, probably don't even need. We'll leave that one. Okay. Again, you duplicate. So mesh tool, duplicate, right? And then you object, chips off 2, come down here, translate white, negative 0.0, I mean negative 0.25. Okay, we reverse. We combined. Oh, sorry, mesh combine. Right. Let's delete the history. It's always good to delete the history while you're going along, because that way it keeps everything lighter. Delete history. Come in here to edge. You select one edge, doesn't matter inside or outside. Shift double click the other one. Go to bridge. And it happened to snap perfectly. So I don't need snap, but I mean filled it in perfectly. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. Double click on that, and then go to edit edge flow. We already have it set to 0.8, so that's good. So you just click edit, and that moves it in slightly. Awesome. So that one's done. This one will do a lot faster. Double click, convert selection to faces. I'd probably add in this one. Whoops. Oh, we're not faces. Add that one. Let's see. I don't know, maybe we want to add these just to be on the safe side. Whoops. Come on. And maybe this one. Okay. And then we duplicate the faces. Duplicate. And see it's polychip. It shows it once you do it, we can just go local translate Z, negative 0.25. Okay. And go to object mode. Select that, reverse the normals. Okay. Then we combine. Go in edge mode. Double click, edit mesh bridge. See, it came in funky, so you come over here to bridge offset, and there we go. See, 17 that time. Really weird. Okay, and then double click there and do edit edge flow. Okay, and we're done with that one. Like I said, you could double click there and scale that in just a little bit if you wanted to, just to make sure nobody could really see too far in up the sleeve. And then the last one we need to do is here. Although let's pick that one, and we're going to do that because we know we need to, somebody was to look up here. Let's see, if we were to, that's if you really care about people looking up something, something, you know. Yeah, it looks like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. Okay, hit F on the keyboard to zoom in. Okay. 2, 3. Well, actually, we don't need to, because we're going to select the faces. Whoops. Oh, wrong way. Control. Drag. We don't need these. We don't need these. Or this. Or those. That or that. We do 2 inward. I don't think so. I was hoping I could double click. I know this seems like a lot of work, but believe me, it's worth the taking your time. Okay, and then convert selection to faces. That looks pretty good. I doubt anybody will see that. Oh, go to face mode. Maybe this one. This one. Maybe that one. Okay. And then we just duplicate. Duplicate. Scroll down here to local translate Z. Negative 0.25. Okay, select object mode. Select that, reverse it. Reverse. Oops, come on, object mode. Select these two. Edit mesh. Oh, mesh, combine. Let's delete the history. Delete history. Edge. Shift select the second one. Bridge. See, it didn't come in quite right. You can see it's like that. Go to bridge offset. Middle mouse button, drag to the right or to the left. I just dragged to the right a little bit. Boom, they're all in the right place. Okay. We're still in edit edge, so we're going to select that, go back into edit mesh, edit edge flow. I know that's really subtle, but I like it. And we can harden edge. harden edge. And if you really wanted to, you could close up this hole just like you did before, and on the other sleeve, on the first sleeve, and then drag it up a little bit, and that way nobody could ever look up your shirt to look at your breasts. If you wanted to, either way, I'm just showing you the different options. Okay. So now what we have, and when you do this, make sure you have your UVs already created, because it will do the UVs so that the faces that we duplicated get just duplicated right on top of the other UVs. So whatever texture you make on the outside will be automatically put on the inside. You would texture this one, not this one. Now, if you really want to get super fancy, you could take these UVs that were on the inside here, and move them so they're in their own UV space in one of these blank areas out here, so they were in their own UV space, so that you could texture them and you could shade them if you wanted to, so that they'd be darker, do an ambient occlusion, if you really wanted to. There's nothing set in stone. And so there's nothing set in stone. You could have them textured if you really want to. It's up to you. If you do it this way, they're just going to have the same exact texture on the inside than what's on the outside, which is what real clothes pretty much looks like. If you have a pattern on the outside sewn into the fabric, as long as it's not a decal or a sticker, or painted on the shirt, it will be the same on the inside as the outside. So, okay, but that's totally up to you. Okay, and now if you see, if we look at this one, we can see it's 2,455 triangles, and now this one is 3,520. So we added almost all triangles? No, that can't be right. I don't think we added that many. Let's merge just to be on the safe side. Let's go edit mesh, merge components. And when we merge, we want to make sure this is at 0.001. Just be on the safe side. Yeah, we've added over 1,000 triangles. So imagine had you just duplicated the total inside of the face, to the inside, you'd be doubling this. That'd be close to 5,000 instead of 3,000, 3,500. You could, if you really didn't want, you could get rid of this edge loop here, if you really wanted to. That's 34 edges. So that's like 68 triangles is what you would get there and there and on the bottom. If, it's up to you. Let's see. Okay, so let's go into object mode. Let's delete the history of this. So we go MyStar delete history. Okay, now let's put this at, let's see, that's T-pose, right? Yep. Okay, so let's take this, put this at -100Y to put it right back on the avatar. And now we can kind of get a better feel, see? You only want to keep the faces that you want. Yeah, sure, at certain angles, it's up to you. It's totally up to you. Like I said, I could have extruded the inner edge that ran on the inner and closed it up just like I did over here, so that there's no way they could look up your top at all to see your breasts. Like I said, that's totally up to you. You could do the same thing with the neck. could have extruded the neck inward. You know, after we did a couple of faces inward, then took that inner edge and extruded it inward and capped it off, so to speak, so that they couldn't see. In that case, we would even need fewer. We wouldn't need all these in this area. You could just do the first quads around there, those first faces, and then extruded it inward, and then, you know, so you could have capped it off that way. So it's totally up to you, you know. This is a fairly low. That's the nice thing about if you do a low resolution or a low. It's not really low res. This is I would call this a smart resolution. You're keeping the information or you're keeping the detail where it's most needed around the breast area, around these folds. You know, so you're making these higher density in here, and you need it, of course, around the breast because they get bigger and smaller. But the rest of the mesh, you're not going overly crazy with. So, you know, I would call this a smart res or smart resolution, not a high poly or a smart poly. I would call it not a high poly. It looks like high poly, but it's not. Okay. And this is what you should really be shooting for, because it's going to cause way less lag, and it's going to move better. Everything. This is what you want to do, and it makes it easier to rig because there's fewer vertices to deal with when you're rigging it. You know how we were going in there and picking one vertex and adjusting the weights? The more vertices you have, the more difficult that becomes. You know, so I'm hoping I'm preaching to the choir, and that you guys already know all this. So, okay, so let's freeze transformation. Okay, and let's open up our UV editor, and let's put, I thought that would have selected just that shell, but no. If you click on this one here, it selects just the shell. Okay, and then if we can come back into, come back into here, select, convert selection to contained faces. That's the front, and it selects the inside there. And then if we create a new material, Lambert, now we're going to have the material on the front and the material on the back. So it's going to have two faces in Second Life. So we've done that, you know, and now we're going to copy the weights over. Okay, so the safest way of doing this is to, let's put this on its own and call this finished top. Finished. We'll have to put an underscore. One place in Maya doesn't like spaces is this one. Okay, finished top. Okay, let's come here to the T-pose shirt, and theoretically you could use the XYZ position and import the weights with Dora and just use the XYZ position since we didn't really change it, and it should be close enough to where those vertices that we put inside the mesh should get the same weights. But let's do it the safest way, which is all bones select. Okay, let's hide the body. All bones select, shift select our finished top, Maya star, smooth bind skin, bind skin, whoops, sorry, connected to a skin cluster. Oh, duh, wrong one. There we go, finished top, Maya star, all bones select, shift select the mesh clothing, bind skin. Okay, and now we can go to the T one, and I just clicked off here so that nothing was selected, no skin, none of the bones or anything. So I selected the T pose, which is rigged. That's our final rigging on. Go ahead and hide it, and shift select the finished top, and it doesn't matter if it's visible or not. You can copy the skin weights over. Copy skin weights. We're just using all the default. Copy skin weights. Bring back the body. And everything is looking good. Okay. I might want to, let's go to bind pose. Okay, so like this. Oh, we did that one on hard. Okay, smooth. And what about this one? Hard edge, smooth edge, and then the inner. Oh, the inner edge I want smooth, not hard. So we go to edge. And so let's select that one. Shift select that one. Oh, we already did that one. And then even do this one down here. Double click. And we can smooth them all at the same time. Or soften edge, I mean. Soften edge. Object mode. Okay, wireframe unshaded. And so that's what our mesh looks like. Okay. And if we open up the female avatar appearance editor, just to make sure, breast size, yep. Ta-da. Yeah, I could have gone up a little bit higher in here. Or like I said, you go up far enough and then you cap it off if you want. So it's up to you. Okay, and remember, let's double check for the 5 or more. 0 vertices have 4 more influences. Good. So that's perfect. In object mode, so that we know we are, come on, object mode. There we go. Okay, but we do need to remove unused influences. Remember, that's, you always got, and it doesn't hurt it if you do it more than once. You know, it's not going to hurt the mesh. You're not going to break anything. So if you can't remember if you did it or not, safe to remove unused influences. See, 24 removed. Now it's ready for exporting. Export selection. Video shirt finished. Finished. Whoop! This drives me nuts. Come on, go into object mode. Sometimes it does it. I was in object mode. I could have swore I was in object mode, but I gotta do this again. Okay. Finished. See, this drives me crazy. I was in object mode, and I went into object mode 2 different ways. If that ever happens, it's one of the quirks of Maya. Just create a polygon sphere or a cube or something. Delete it, then select your mesh again, and export selection. Now this should work. It drives me crazy when it does that. Never figured out why it does that. There we go. And so see you in Second Life. Okay, so here we are in Second Life. Let's import. Come on, you. Okay. Go to the model. Video shirt finished. Audio above. Lowest. Finished shirt for Slink Hourglass. Include weights. Just double checking. Okay. Calculate. And I did have that selected. Yeah. Okay. Upload. Detach. Add. Got our sexy walk. Go. Yeah, I might have wanted to have some more up in the upper back. So I might have wanted to duplicate, or like I said, cap it off. Cap it off, and, you know, however you want to do it. But yeah, so that's, and let's check the different faces. See? That's the front. That's the back. So it has the different faces. Let's see. Let's go to shine. Low and yeah. See the different faces. So awesome. Okay, like I said, I would probably cap it off on the bottom, or bring in a little more of the back faces. Probably cap it off, and instead of pulling it straight up in the center, I'd pull it up and towards the back, so that people could still look up the shirt a little bit. You know, because I know some people think that's sexy. Or maybe I just cap off the back. You don't have to. You could pull. I could pull, take the edge not all the way around, but I could extrude just like halfway around. You know, select the edge halfway around on the inside, and then extrude it, pull it up, and then push it into the body a little bit, so that you wouldn't have this here, you know, this where you can see through it. But anyway, but you see the process, you know, you see the process, and it's pretty easy, not easy, it's just somewhat time consuming. And you know, the next step would be textures. I don't know if I'm going to do any texturing tutorials. I'm not that great of a texturer, to be honest. And I mainly texture in 3D Code. I do have Substance Painter, but I haven't learned it, and I bought it like 2 or 3 years ago. And Substance Painter can produce better textures than 3D Code, but only by like a 20% improvement at most, if you really know what you're doing. I just happen to love 3D Code, and it makes really nice textures, and it has PBR just like Substance Painter. But yeah, Substance Painter is a better program, but Substance Painter does just that. It just creates textures. It doesn't sculpt, it doesn't retopology, it doesn't make UVs, you know, so it doesn't do any of those other things. So if you got limited funds, I'd get 3D Coat, especially if you want to learn sculpting. ZBrush, I do have ZBrush. ZBrush is a better sculpting program than 3D Coat. I'd say 3D Coat is 75, maybe 80%. No, 70%, 75% as good as ZBrush at sculpting. It is more than adequate, and you can make great sculpting in it. But ZBrush does have so many more tools to do so many more things in sculpting than 3D Coat. That, yeah, it's the difference between ZBrush just basically modeling, sculpting. It does do some hard surface modeling, and you can do some wonderful things. Hard surface modeling in there. It doesn't have, so it has the basics of hard surface modeling. But it's primarily 99% a sculpting tool. So it's specialized in that. While 3D Coat, like I said, it does a bunch of different things. And so it does them very, very well, just not as good as the ZBrush or Substance Painter. Comes pretty close, and for the money, you know, I think ZBrush is now at $800 or $900, and Substance Painter. You can get it on Steam. I think I bought it for like 150 3 years ago. So 3D Coat for $130 on sale on Steam, something like that would be awesome, So, alrighty, okay. Well, that is basically the end of this series. For rigging, I might do a pants rigging tutorial. I think I did a skirt rigging tutorial already. I might revisit the skirt rigging tutorial. So yeah, that's it from start to finish. You've probably invested about 2 hours and 45 minutes at this point to get to this point. Congratulations if you've made it this far. And yeah, I hope this has helped. And yeah, that's 2 hours and 45 minutes of what would have been normally private lessons. And so, but like I said, I don't really want to teach anymore. So hopefully this will help you out. I know I've gotten lots of requests of how do you rig? What do you do? But anyway, awesome. So we will see you in the next video.